Malta, an island fortress, once home to ancient civilizations and warrior knights, and, in World War II, an important British stronghold in the Mediterranean. Its position in the centre of the Mediterranean provided the Allied forces with a base that linked Europe with North Africa. For 2 years, the Maltese population were forced underground as the Axis powers unleashed one of the heaviest bombardments in history. Malta's survival was crucial to Allied success. If the island were to fall into enemy hands, so would North Africa, the Suez Canal, and the oil fields of the Middle East. In recognition of the suffering endured by the Maltese people, King George VI awarded the entire population the George Cross for their heroism and devotion. Between 1940 and 1942, the island would be subjected to one of the fiercest battles of World War II and would win by only the narrowest of margins. At Casa Rocca Piccola, we are fortunate to have a few personal mementos of what life was like during World War II. When the late Baron de Piero spoke to CBS in 1989, this is how he described life in World War II.
During the war, I was a gunner. I was a gunner. How I am still in one piece, only God knows. There was a time, I think, that we only had about a week to go. And in the morning we had half a biscuit, half a dog biscuit. For lunch, we had the luxury of 2 sardines with no bread. And in the evening we had a mug of tea.
By August 1943, the situation in Europe had changed for the better, and Operation Husky had liberated Sicily. This meant much-needed convoys could get through to Malta, alleviating the hunger. The American president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, sent his son Franklin Jr. to Malta to boost morale. After dinner with the de Piero family, he wrote the following in their visitor's book, which you may have seen upstairs.
I'm sure it won't be long before my family and I can return your gentle hospitality in America. We will receive you as the heroes you are, who have held high the torch of freedom and courage through all your horror, and by doing so, have made possible the victory we are all now achieving.
When the bombs started to fall on Valletta, panic and fear gripped the population. The bombing was relentless. More bombs were dropped on Malta in April 1942 than in the whole of the war on London. Casa Rocca Piccola had 2 wells, both of which were converted into bomb shelters in World War II. Both these wells are cut out of the solid rock foundation of Valletta and are part of the original quarry used to build the house 400 years ago. The smaller shelter could house 30 people. You can see how it was strengthened with a concrete ceiling, steel beams and central column. These reinforcements were made to protect the shelter from a direct hit. However, some bomb shelters built in a similar fashion collapsed under the force of a bombing raid. In the large bomb shelter, some of the concrete ceiling has been removed. The area at the top was tightly packed with stones and soil to soften a bomb blast. Due to the frequency of the air raids, it was not unusual for people to spend lengthy amounts of time in the shelters. Many of the elderly residents of Valletta recall sleeping in the shelters. Over 100 people could cram into this shelter, which also doubled as a chapel. If you look closely, you'll notice carvings in the stone walls. The lamps you see on the walls could have been lit with kerosene, making the air down here almost unbearable. Many of the people suffered from respiratory illness, claustrophobia, and panic. You will also see the various access points, now sealed off, which people used to access the shelters and escape the bombs. These aren't the only tunnels in Valletta. In fact, it is said the city has more streets underground than on the surface. Finally, you'll see the family bomb shelter. The tunnel was built in 1935, 4 years before the start of the war, and is thought to be the first private bomb shelter built in Malta. You'll notice the zigzag pattern of the tunnel. It was deliberately designed this way in order to prevent debris from the blast and shrapnel of a bomb. The tunnel leads to the garden. On behalf of the de Piero family, we thank you for your visit and hope you enjoy looking at a small but significant part of Malta's incredible World War II story.